This one, I think, is hello. Welcome to our live show. Today, we are here with Daily Work Remote Strategies, and we are talking about what is the one question that you can most ask, and what is the one question that you most want to be asked. Please feel free to comment at any time as you see that little banner across the bottom. If you want your comment to be private, just add a little asterisk at the beginning. We're looking forward to talking with you about this. What is this and who is this? We are here every day, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific for 20 minutes to give you a quick strategy that you can use. So today's strategy. First, I'd like to ask you a question. What is one of the first questions that you ask someone when you are starting to speak with them? Whether it's in a Zoom meeting or it's on a phone call, what's one of the first questions that you start to ask when you've recontacted someone? It can be, is someone in a one-on-one? It's so good to see you all here. It's really nice to see you all here on this live event. What is one of the first questions you like to ask? So I'll start reading off some of the answers that are coming in. One of the first questions you start to ask is, how are you? That makes sense. That is a question that we are all asking each other. Another question that you start to ask is, how's the project going? So some of you go straight to the project. Great. What else? What are some of the first questions that you will ask someone in a one-on-one meeting or in a 3-person or in a 10-person? What's one of the first questions that you tend to ask? Let's see what else you have. How are you is a very common one. Yes, I agree with that. Great. So let's talk about it. Here are the questions that you're asking and what do they mean? Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful one. Let's put this one on the screen. So we've got Violette saying this one, which is, how's your heart doing today? Like, I want to be in meetings with you. Thank you so much. I want to be in meetings with you. That's wonderful. That's so wonderful. And it can be as task specific as you want, or it can be as person specific as you want. It's so nice to see all of you on this call. I just want to let you know, this is super interactive. So just keep giving us comments and we're going to keep giving comments to you. The question right now is, what is the first question that you tend to ask when you are in a meeting, in a one-on-one meeting or in a group meeting? And we'll put up one other one that one of you is saying. Usha is saying, how was your day? So she's doing a little retrospective of what people ask. So thank you. We've gotten a range of questions that you ask. You might ask what's going on with this task. You might ask, how are you? You might ask something personal. What happens when we ask someone a question? I'm going to share 2 pieces of research with you. And then given that, I will, in a magical way, divine what question it is that you most want to be asked. So we have started with what question you tend to ask other people. Now I'm going to share 2 pieces of research with you about questions. The 2 pieces of research that I'm going to share with you are the question behavior link and the research on question being at the seed of change. So let me tell you about each of these. If you haven't heard about them, ask me questions. The question behavior link. I love this research. There is research that if researchers go out and they ask a large group of people, are you considering buying a car in the next 6 months? And then 6 months later, they follow up with this group and a different group that they did not follow up with, that they never contacted before. Regardless of what the person said to, are you considering buying a car in the next 6 months? That group is more likely to have bought a car than the group that never got that question. This is weird. This is very strange. I will tell you, this was so strange when I first read about this research. It's not just about car buying. I'll give you another example that's asked in these studies. Are you likely to floss your teeth in the next 3 months? The people who are asked that are more likely to floss their teeth when they check in with them later than a group that was never asked that question. And you might think, okay, Senia, this is weird. This doesn't really make sense. Why is this happening? What is going on when you're asking a question that for a person you will never meet again, and then within the next 6 months or next 3 months, this turns into behavior? I agree. This is weird. The reason it's happening is there's something that's starting in our heads. It's almost, I'll describe this a little metaphorically, it's almost like a tension opens up. Like, here I am, here's my life and my status quo. And there's the version of Senia with the car. There's that version of Senia that has bought that new car. And that tension, maybe at a low level, is somewhere in my head, such that one way to alleviate that tension is for some people, again, a small fraction of people, but for some people to actually go and buy that car. I will tell you, this question behavior link, one of the other beautiful things about it is you can do it to yourself. So you can say, what is a job that I most want to move towards in my life? You can say, what is a way that I want to get closer to my spouse, my mom, my brother, my sister? Any question that you ask is already prodding you towards extending that tension between the status quo, how life is right now, and a different version of life. So there is this research on the question behavior link. That's point one. And I love it because it's weird to me. It's very counterintuitive. And point two is that questions are the seed of change. What does this mean? This is based on work over 2 decades by David Cooper-Ryder at Case Western University. And he has researched a lot through a broader field called appreciative inquiry, which is growing, appreciating in that sense, like a plant grows, appreciating the things that are in your life through the process of inquiry, of asking questions. That's the technical description. But what's really happening is if you ask someone, how is your relationship with your daughter better this week? You're already starting to get them to think about better this week, my daughter. All of those are the seeds of change. And it doesn't mean that that will prompt the relationship to improve that day or the next day. But over time, it's like questions start that. They start that change. So stepping back and having taken into account these two areas of research, the question behavior link and David Cooper-Ryder's work on questions being the seed of change. Did you notice how I sort of did that growth of the plant? I wish I had a green thumb. My son, who's small, has a green thumb. I have no green thumb. But given these two areas of research, let me do a magic trick on you. I had asked at the beginning, what is a question that you tend to ask when you meet someone you haven't for a while, or have a phone call with someone who you haven't talked to in a while, or have a Zoom call even with 6 people? And let's say your standard question is, how are you? Or let's say your standard question is, what's something really good that's happened in the past week? My hypothesis, and hopefully magic trick, is that the question that you are asking other people first is often the question that you most want to be asked. So if you get on a one-on-one call and you say, how are you? That's likely the question that you most want to be asked as well. So tell me if that resonates for you, that the question that you tend to ask others is a question that you also would like to be asked. Give me some thoughts on how that resonates with you. Is it true? Is it completely false? Is it somewhere in between? How does that resonate with you? And as you're giving me a few thoughts on whether the question that you ask others is also the question that you tend to like being asked yourself, as you're giving me that, tell me what you think about this in the context of your own work and your own life, work and life. This question behavior link and this, that questions are the seed of change. I'm going to close the formal part of this and open it up entirely to our questions. So to summarize the formal part, what's a question you ask at the beginning of meetings? We know what some of those are. Here is some research on questions, the question behavior link. If you ask a question, it actually may lead to a different behavior, and that questions are the seed of change, that research. And given that, is it actually true that what we most ask of other people, whether friends or work colleagues, that's also what we most want to be asked? Thank you so much for joining us. And now the floor is all yours. I am here as a conduit and as directing the flow of conversation. Tell me some of your thoughts. All right, let's see what some of you are saying. Questions, your aspects of questions. So I'm seeing some of the questions that you tend to ask when you're starting a meeting. And I'll leave with one more. So unless you have questions for me, it is a little meta that we're talking about questions, and I'm asking if you have questions for me. If you have questions for me, put them in to the chat. And I will end with one thing that is one of my favorite types of questions to ask at the beginning of meetings. What is something that's gone well in the past week? I know this is incredibly simple. I know it's like you and I just had a call and it's a very informal, calm question. But I would suggest to you that that puts everybody in the room, everybody in the Zoom meeting, 2 people on a phone call, that puts you both on the same level playing field of what's working, what's actually going well. So that is a question that I would suggest to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Tomorrow we are on again at 11 a.m. Pacific, and we're talking about the magic of some ritual practices that you can have. And we're doing it tomorrow on 7/7, which is July 7th, which is a magical holiday in many countries, including Japan, which I have a fondness for because I studied Japanese in college. And that holiday, in case you want to get a little leg up on it, that holiday is called Tanabata. So we'll be talking about magical ideas from rituals that we can use in our day-to-day business and personal lives. Very good seeing you. See you again tomorrow. We're here every day, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, for 20-minute daily work remote strategies. All the best.